Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Julia Fedor with the brand marketing team at United Airlines. Very excited to talk to this group of marketers today. It is an impressive slate of folks. So, as you heard, we're here to talk about attention metrics. How do you get attention? How do you keep it? And why it matters in our world of marketing and advertising. So, I often like to recognize the fact that we're not only marketers, but we're also all consumers in our own right. We have our own brand preferences, we have our own consumer behaviors, our purchase decisions that we make every single day. So I'd like each one of my panelists to start off, introduce yourselves, what you do at your company, but then I also want to know what is a brand that you are personally loyal to and why? So Julie, we'll start with you.
So I'm Julie Keating. I'm the head of agency partnerships at Sojern. And what Sojern does is that we have aggregated the world's travel data into its own platform. So my role is to help agencies and brands begin to grow using these insights and this data and these audiences. So it's going to be a really exciting one for me. And I thought about this question quite a bit, is Costco. So I do have two teenage boys who are athletes, so there's that on that one. But I think what Costco does really well is they know who they are, and they have a really clear view of their mission. So in their mission, they want the quality goods at the best price possible. And so being that focus and discipline, it really builds trust. And then they could have increased the $1.50 dog, but they did not. They kept it. They kept it in there. So I'm Costco for life.
I love that. It is incredible, just all the things that you can purchase at Costco. They even have a travel agency within the grocery stores. It's amazing. Brad, how about you? What do you do at Marriott, and what is a brand that you're loyal to?
Yeah, hi, I'm Brad Hiranaga. I lead the brands and design and experiences group at Marriott. So we work across the portfolio. There's about 40 brands in Marriott and growing, and my team works across managing brands, but also thinking about the designs of the hotels, the spaces, and the experiences and the programs that we put within those hotels. So thinking about how do you gain and keep attention is something that's obviously a very, very topical topic for us. Brand's favorite for me, I'm going to stick with the North. I'm actually from the Northwest, so I'm going to stick with the Northwest brand, Starbucks. They're a global partner for Marriott, but I have to say I get inordinately, it's actually kind of sad at my age how excited I am about a cup of coffee. Like this morning getting up for work, on the first day back from the holidays, I was like, what was I most excited about? It was like that first cup of coffee. And I think Starbucks has done like an amazing job. You know, brands that constantly reinvent themselves, but still have consistency are really amazing to me. And you get the same cup of coffee, but whether it's seasonal or how the store design lays out, or even the music that's playing is always a little bit different and relevant. I think they do a fantastic job. And so I'm always very loyal to them.
Hi, everyone. I'm Esther with Intersection. I'm the CMO. We are an experience-driven, out-of-home media company. I feel like I should have introduced myself without my sunglasses on. But I love being outside. This is awesome. Brands I am most loyal to, there are so many. Like if I Diet Coke like seeps through my veins, but the one I would pick would be TikTok. So as a consumer, I spend every free moment I have on TikTok. And it's where I get, someone just made a joke about 6'7", but it's where I get like pop culture information. Sometimes, dare I say, news. I use it for search, right? Like it's what keeps me entertained and really brings me so much joy. But as a marketer, they've changed the game for how people create content, but also how people consume it, because who's creating it? It's a different person. It's a different person we trust. It's a different kind of influencer than we grew up with, which would be like you're a movie star. So I'm fascinated with the TikTok brand, both personally and professionally.
All excellent answers. I mean, Costco, Starbucks,
Can't
TikTok.
be Costco though. That was a good.
That is a good one. All right, I'd like to start by defining attention. It is a word that we use a lot as marketers. And when we think about the fact that people are sitting at home on their couches watching TV, often they have a mobile device, a tablet, a phone also with them. They might not be giving 100% of their attention to the television show or the streaming service that they're watching. It might be more of a passive experience. But we know that attention is about capturing that actual user focus from the consumer. So Esther, would love to start with you. How do you define and measure attention at Intersection?
So attention to us is a behavior, right? Like we are the only media platform when you think about out of home that's unmissable, it's unskippable, it's unblockable. But that only matters if you do the right thing with the moment, right? You want to really capture someone's attention and create engagement. So for us, it was really important that we built a whole ecosystem around that and really thought about our screens and our platform in a way that created connections with the people who live in the cities that we're in. So we have a full editorial team that writes content for our screens. In New York, it could be content written down to the very neighborhood. So what's happening that weekend, things that we know people about their journey are going to be really excited about. And then to take it to the next level, we built a first of its kind creator network. I know I just talked about TikTok, but clearly I'm very passionate about the creator economy. We launched a creator network. So we have influencers creating content for Link. And now they have it for Link NYC, which is one of the biggest platforms that we have, our crown jewel. We have 4,000 screens in New York City. But they're creating content for Link. So now they're getting to speak to their audience on the street. So now we're off the phone and you're speaking to them in a new kind of way. And we have big names that I'm really have enjoyed seeing on that platform, like Girl with No Job, Boy with No Job, Caleb Simpson, who does How Much Do You Pay for Rent? When he pops into people's homes.
Oh,
and
I love that
isn't
creator.
Isn't he so
Fascinating.
good? And we'll be announcing, or I guess I'm announcing right now, Haley Bailey will be joining us. So it's just something that's really important to us that we created a platform for people that when they walk through the cities that they live in, that they know that they're going to engage with our screens in a different kind of way. And it's the same kind of way that we work with our partners when they're advertising on our screens. Obviously, you are all United and Marriott are partners of ours. But it's that moment of engagement that either you win that attention and it is so powerful. So it's something that's very important to us in the out-of-home industry.
Absolutely. And Brad, you bring kind of a different perspective working on global experience design at Marriott. You're in the lodging products division. You have a massive portfolio of properties. How do you define attention within your organization and broadly speaking?
Yeah, I think it's a little different than media, even though we have a great, fantastic media group. I think when I think about products and the products we're building, our brands that we have, we really think about attention not necessarily being bought, but really being earned. And through every kind of experience that someone has in a hotel, it really creates an amazing amount of opportunities to like figure out those moments that you can actually garner attention. You can give somebody a moment. So from a design perspective, we do a lot of customer journey mapping to understand where can we make the experience that somebody has, depending on what type of trip type they're going on, really seamless, so that every interaction they have can be delightful or stress-free or makes it work for the trip that they're on. So that's on one side of it, how we think about like generating, and the way that we measure that isn't necessarily through like how many impressions we're going to get. It's really more about behavioral, like much time are they spending in certain spaces, or how many people are coming back and repeating at our hotels. Again, we have 70% kind of Bonvoy, which is our loyalty program, retention usually in our hotels at any given time. So the better job we do of giving someone a great experience, garnering their attention one time, gives us a better time of them coming back again and back again. So we really try to think through all the ways in which we can kind of keep top of mind, because as a company, our goal is really to be a lifelong travel partner. And so it can't just be that one flash in the pan. It's got to be sustained attention over the arc of time. And that really takes, relevancy is always something that we're thinking about as we design these products.
Excellent. So Julie, over to you. I think a lot about how our phones are these little attention boxes that we keep in our pockets, right? They're always vying for our attention. Sojern is a travel marketing platform. You engage customers throughout the travel buying experience. So how are you defining attention with both your agency partners and your end brand clients?
So a little bit differently, similar, I love what you said too about that attention is earned, because it is, and it's understanding the clients and understanding where they are as part of that journey, because I think that's the most important part. For us, we really look at attention as being receptive and understanding being receptive to that message at any given time. And so giving a message about booking something in Fiji, which I'm thinking about right now, is not going to be if someone's going to business travel in DC, right? So understanding where they are, what they're looking for, where they are as part of the customer journey, and being able to really tailor that message and earn the attention that they're getting from there. So that's one of the things that we look at quite a bit, and making sure that our message is really hitting at the right time when someone's ready to do that. And so we take a lot of time to make sure that we're understanding the journey from going from under the planning part, the inspiration part to booking part, and not really focusing on one, but really moving them through the journey and really building their relationship as you go through that. So for us, intention is really an earned part. And I think a lot of brand marketers now there are a lot of impressions, and especially in travel, there's so many there. And so there's a lot of wasted impressions there, because if you're really talking to someone who just was at a beach trip, who just booked a ski trip, you're wasting that intention. Yeah.
This is great. Okay, we've started off by defining attention, what it means to us as marketers and to our individual organizations. Let's dive a little bit more into the measurement of it, because you can measure creative and you can measure media, the effectiveness. So an ad might be viewable on a TV, a website, an out-of-home billboard. Esther, let's talk to you. With Intersection, you're an out-of-home company, technology company. You lead marketing strategy for both B2C and B2B. So how do you think about creative effectiveness in the real world? And how do you approach creative storytelling that captures attention, builds emotional connections?
Sure. So when I'm in Vegas, I'm always reminded of a personal story. But when you think about out of home, and there's that famous line, if content is king, then context is God. When you think about out of home, we have the context. We know where you are. We know what you're in town to do. If you're in Vegas, you're either here for CES or you're here on vacation. But I came with my husband to Vegas a few months ago. And these are not my ads. I'm just speaking on behalf of the industry. I see a bill. We were going to a store, and we always go to the same store. And we see a billboard, and it says, biggest, largest store ever. Come to our store. And I say to my husband, actually, let's go. Let's try somewhere else. We put in the directions, we take the turn, and the next billboard says, next left. And it was the most powerful example of using context to tell brilliant stories, to make people take action. And I think that there's a lot of power in out of home when you really leverage all of those tools.
My husband was born and raised here in Vegas. Yes, a very, very interesting place to grow up. So I spent a lot of time here with family over the years. I mean, for 13 years now. And coming and being here on the Strip, I'm just reminded of what a sensory overload it is. I mean, walking through the casinos, all of the digital out of home that you see on the boulevards. So it's very interesting, visiting family versus being here for business and spending time on the Strip and the casinos. But I think it is also kind of a fascinating case study for all of us as marketers, just to be here and see what is happening from a B2B and B2C perspective, especially with all the restaurants, entertainment. It has become such an entertainment mecca here in Vegas. So we've talked amongst ourselves the fact that we all work with and for travel brands. Travel and tourism are incredibly crowded categories. There's a wealth of resources online for people to book their hotels, their flights, their car rentals, and their on-the-ground experiences and tours. So, Julie, as you think about the customer journey and that path to purchase for travel brands that you work with, what metrics are you most focused on at Sojern?
So there's a few different ones. We're going to look at different media metrics and understanding that in the whole picture, but I think we can go deeper. And because we have the data and the audiences to really understand what that looks like, we think of it as cumulative. And if we're moving a person, a consumer, through the process, we're being effective. And if we're changing the booking to conversion rate, or we're making people go faster in the process, if they're less consideration and more in the consideration phase and booking at a faster clip, then I think that we're done our job every time we're going through there. So there's lots of different ways that we look at that. We look at incremental lift is a really big one that we look at against a control group to make sure that we're seeing what that looks like, and also booking value and making sure that the value is there, because it's at the end of the day with travelers, you're making sure that they are making a great purchase and getting it as extended as possible. So not only is it conversion, but it really is understanding that if we're talking to someone at the inspiration stage, how does that translate then into the booking stage? And so really beginning to show those different metrics for that.
And when you say incremental lift, because of course we talk about brand lift studies all the time, there's so many things that you can measure as it relates to lift. Are you looking at recall, preference, loyalty, actual revenue, or all of the above?
Some of its consideration lift is a big one that we look at to make sure that they're in the consideration set in order to continue down the funnel. That's a big one we do. We do everything from there, but I think understanding and being able to really take apart each of the different moments that you're looking at in travel and understanding some of it, and it goes back to Costco, knowing your consumer and knowing who you are, like knowing who you are and making sure that you are able to show up for any travel brand in the best way, and really developing a message that you've learned from data that is going to hit at the right time.
Brad, from your perspective, Marriott is one of the largest global hotel companies in the world. You have 260 million members in your loyalty program. I'm one of them. I'm Marriott Bonvoy Titanium. I wear my status on my sleeve. I also hear from a lot of our United Airlines customers, people who have Platinum, 1K, global service status. Love to hear about that, by the way. Please feel free to tell me about your United Airlines flying experiences. Love the Marriott Bonvoy program, but yeah, you have incredible opportunities to reach this massive audience of people who stay at your properties. What are some new ways that you're gaining attention with that sheer size and scale globally? What kind of metrics do you look at?
Yeah, one of the newest ways, and just last summer at Cannes, actually, Marriott launched Riot Media, so media network. So if you think about going into any hotel room, usually the TV is on as you're getting ready and entering the room. And so it gives us such a great opportunity to connect with people like right when they're coming in and thinking about what are they going to do for dinner? Where do they want to go? Do they want to go on a run? And so we're really trying to hone in that media and that content to be as dialed into what somebody wants to get out of their trip, depending on what their trip is, as possible. So for us, looking at that, it's a lot of the same kind of media metrics that were mentioned. Like, can we help you? For other brands that are even advertising with us, can we help with brand preference? Can we help with consideration? Can we help people actually make purchase of products that we sell in the hotel? So it's a great ecosystem. And for me, thinking, just you mentioned Aria. It's like I just came here for a birthday like a month ago. It's so weird coming back here for work. It's like disorienting. But I think about like the whole perspective of like a casino and a restaurant and a club and a coffee shop. And like the collective, and I love what you said about thinking about it collectively, the metric that we care the most about from a customer perspective is like intent to recommend. So after somebody stays here and has this experience, are they going to recommend us? And our hotels and our properties that are exceeding on that, you know which hotels those are. Those are the hotels that everybody wants to stay in. But to me, that's the way you get the attention of the next person, or that when you're thinking about rebooking a trip, you're going to go back. Experience is so good, you recommend it. And for those that aren't achieving that, it gives them a bar to try to reach for so that they can make the experience better, so they can make the design more effective, and they can take out some of those barriers to travel that we all face when we have a bad trip.
I love that you brought up the Riot Media Network. At United Airlines, we also have our own media network now called Connective Media. Got some great friends and colleagues on that side of the business at United, and we actually have a nice symbiotic relationship. We've advertised on your screens at Marriott. You've advertised on our screens at United.
It makes a lot of sense to do that together where you're traveling, and it's that ecosystem is so powerful. And I think brands like that can really help one another when they're advertising together like that.
And I think about it how in a hotel room, you check in, you might be exhausted from your travel getting there, and you've got that big TV screen welcoming you with that personalization by your first name. Similarly, at United Airlines, you're sitting, staring at your seatback screen. You're on board. You have to watch your onboard safety video at the start of the flight, and then we're able to provide that in-flight entertainment experience, but also show ads and show marketing and promotion. And you do have a bit of just that attention. That captive audience, whether it's in a hotel room or sitting on board a flight, because there aren't a whole lot of other distractions right around you.
It's right in front of you, absolutely. And I think thinking about the content, and we're making some good strides there, and thinking about what kind of content should we be putting on TVs, depending on what market you're in, what kind of trip you're going on, similarly where you're flying to, I think is a really big opportunity for us. Like there's way more we can do. But similarly with the kind of ad partners that you want to bring in, there's some that it makes so much sense for them to be advertising, local restaurants, like other types of activities that you want to do. So it makes a ton of sense, I think, as we're all thinking about our distribution is all media. You can get awareness anywhere. So I love that you brought that up. Well,
I have to say, we're pacing really well with our panel here. Esther, this is not a question that I prepared in advance, but you were talking about the Link program that you've launched recently. I actually would love to hear more about that because creator marketing is not just this little offshoot on the side. I mean, the global creator economy is real, it is here, it is more influential, you could argue, in a lot of ways than more traditional advertising. Can you tell us even more about the creators and
Yeah,
Link?
sure. We we wanted to tap into a new audience and again to create moments that draw attention to the screens, not only for our benefit, but for the benefit of our partners who want eyeballs on the screen, engaged and excited eyeballs. And we started small. We started with some very local New York micro influencers, and we had them create content just for the Link NYC network. So specific for us, just you could only see it on Link. And it was really successful and they loved it. The creators were getting to promote their own work and reach new eyeballs that they don't necessarily have. And then it kind of grew from there because bigger creators were seeing these guys on the streets getting millions of impressions, talking all over New York. And the partnership grew, and it's something that we're so excited about. We launch new creators every 6 months. So we keep them on for 6 months. The bigger ones are not necessarily always giving us custom content, right? Like Haley Bailey has 14 million followers. She's not going to make me a video, but she's giving us content that's very specialized to New York City. So if I'm passing by, it's interesting to me. And the other thing that is something we have to think about is sounds. Most of out of home does not have sounds, maybe different for the two of your networks. But if you're walking in New York City, you know there's no sound. But luckily, thanks to TikTok and Instagram, influencers have been trained. The algorithm promotes them more when they use the captioning. So they all know how to work without sound and they've figured it out. So we've been running it now about 1.5 years. And we'll see where 2026 takes us.
Fantastic. You said you advertise in Chicago, right? With the Chicago
we
Transit
sell all
Authority?
the ads on the CTA, which is their transit platform. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, I live in Chicago. It's where we're headquartered at United Airlines. So anytime I go to my train station and I'm commuting into our office, I am always looking, what are the digital and print ads being served in my train station?
And we didn't get a chance to, or you are the moderator and not getting to add your own moments, but United Airlines, I would say, has run one of the most attention-grabbing campaigns. It's old. It's an oldie but a goodie, but I know you said that you're bringing it back. For those of us who are in New York, they were running the most attention-grabbing campaign on taxi tops that was saying how many minutes it would take you from where you are in the city to Newark Airport, which if you are a New Yorker, that sounds really painful to get to Newark. And the whole point of the campaign was like, you're actually only 20 minutes away. It was so brilliant. It's something we all talk about all the time in the industry. So kudos to you.
Thank you for calling out our United campaign. Yes, these taxi toppers on your traditional yellow cabs, it was something that we did before the pandemic. It's very interesting because we're supposed to be neutral with the 3 New York area airports, JFK, LaGuardia, and Newark, but we serve 70% of the flights in and out of Newark. It is a major hub for us. And yes, we proudly just relaunched those taxi toppers, so they serve you dynamic travel times from Manhattan and how long it takes you to get to Newark versus JFK as we promote more people flying in and out of Newark. And we had... If you read any of the trades, see any of the photos, or see the actual taxis live in person, we did some fun play on words with EWR, the airport code name, fly better, EWR, things like that. All right, I would love to talk some more about tangible examples. I think when we come to a lot of these marketing industry events, people sit on panels, we talk about marketing concepts kind of at a high level and in theory. I think we've defined attention well. What are all of these different creative and media metrics that we can look at as it relates to attention? But I want to talk about some more specific brand examples and campaigns that either we've done respectively at our companies or other brands out in the marketplace, brands that you think are doing a great job. So Julie, let's start with you. Will you tell us about a successful campaign at Sojern with one of your clients?
Love the outcomes. It's all about that at the end of the day. Yeah, so I think there's a few that I would talk about. The one I would talk about is with a car rental company who is launching a new service for airport pickup. It had no awareness, launching it, trying to get into this area. And one of the things that we did is we looked at that moment and with the attention that someone is interested in and understanding when does someone think about a car rental, and they tip it from an airport and it's right after they book a flight. And so understanding if they had just booked a flight, how do you begin to help support that message with that one person who's definitely going to that airport where this is being piloted in, and begin to develop messaging around that to really build that awareness and build that. So we did a great campaign with this company, launched last year, and we looked at it from many different ways. Again, what we're talking about before about different metrics. But we did look at the booking rate. We looked at how people are actually purchasing this. It's complicated getting picked up at an airport. Halo bookings was also really important to understand how much did this campaign help with halo bookings, which was about 8% increase, which was significant with this one airport. And then the brand increase was 15%, looking at that. So it was a really successful campaign. But what we did is we're really focused on where they were in their mindset and what are they looking for at that particular moment. So that was one. And we did another one with the airline that was also interesting, similar tactic where they were having, it's not United, I'll say, but it was, working with them there. All of a sudden this route was like, they're getting crushed in this route and they're not understanding it. They're not understanding what's going on. So we dug in, we tried to understand, is it pricing? Is it competitor? Is it timing? Is it, looking across every part of it? And what we ended up finding was, it was actually that this particular route was a 7-day, 65% of the people booked within a 7-day period. It was just one of those things. So we had to readjust to understand the mindset and how to capture the attention of the people when you're going through. And so we really adjusted from consideration to this booking window to these 7 days. And then we were able to increase and get that back on track, a little competitive conquesting there as well. But it was an important understanding to understand, again, the mindset of what they were looking at.
For the car rental company example that you mentioned, was that national or was that campaign focused in specific markets?
This one was specific markets because it was launching as a beta out in the market, but now it's successful. It's going to be rolling out. It's a great product. I can't talk about like names of it, but it's a really interesting, and it should be launching more in 2026.
That's really interesting about the airline in a 7-day booking window. That is very short term. That is very close in from flying. I'm assuming maybe more business travelers.
It's all business. Yeah.
Yeah. Great. Brad, similar question for you. Will you share a brand internally and one externally that has had your attention? Give us some specific examples.
Got 2 internal, but I'll pick one. A newer one. There's a brand collection that was launched this last year called the Outdoor Collection for Marriott, and probably through many of us as we lived through the pandemic, outdoor, going on vacations to like national parks, doing camping, road tripping became like a much bigger thing, and that demand really didn't decrease kind of like as we kind of climbed out of the pandemic. And so, when you think about booking travel, a lot of times you think about, I'm going to put the city name in where I'm going to go. And then I'm going to look around that city to see like, where do I want to book my hotel? And oftentimes that works, especially for business. But for other types of trips where people are looking to get inspiration to go do something they haven't done before, especially in the outdoors, which can be a little bit intimidating if you're not someone that's like an outdoorist enthusiast, we decided that why don't we create more of a category and help people figure out where they want to go based on, a trip that they've never taken, and make it a lot easier by taking them through steps to plan that trip. Before I worked at Marriott, I worked at an outdoor company called Cotopaxi. It's a small, like a little outdoor brand. And I learned there the same thing. It's like, once people take that first trip, they'll take a bunch after. You just got to give them over that first hurdle. So if you haven't skied before, like, how do you get ski lessons? How do you know what size you wear? How do you know what you need what you should wear under your ski pants? All the things, like, we started kind of creating content around that to help people get to that next level. And so for us, it's just a new way to start thinking about travel with passion and creating categories, and a new way to think about how you might travel versus just the traditional way of like city, click, now I'm going to search. An external brand, I feel like I've used this one so much, but they always do amazing. I love brands that have been around forever that continually reinvent themselves. And I was just looking them up today to see what they've done, and the brand that they always do it is Lego. And they had like a press release today to talk about a smart brick that they're doing, which essentially allows them to create sound and visuals based off sensors. So when you're playing with it, it actually knows what you're doing. And they're launching it with like Star Wars. And I think as a brand, like technology aside, they've done an amazing job constantly bringing relevancy by partnering with other brands. Like as a toy brand, you'd be like, I'm not going to partner with any of my competitors. And yet they partner with Star Wars. They partner with Harry Potter. They just did something last year with Pokemon. I've got like 2 teenagers and they're still talking about Pokemon, which I don't know if that makes them cool or not cool. But there's still like a collectible aspect that's becoming like really popular. And so they tap into that stuff and they don't like shy away from it. They embrace it and they create a bigger ecosystem around their whole purpose of play. And I just think that's like such a, I don't know, it's a very valiant brand kind of like purpose. And I love that the way that they're traditional, like you're tactically putting together bricks, and yet they're not afraid to reinvent themselves through partnerships, technology, and it keeps them like top of mind in culture, which is really fun.
I love those examples, especially the outdoor collection one. I do a lot of hiking, camping, backcountry camping into the woods for days at a time, but the barrier to entry is high. If you didn't grow up, in a family that did a lot of outdoor activities and went hiking or car camping, figuring out the gear, figuring out your route, your trails, things like that. So that sounds like a fantastic content strategy.
It's intimidating, right? Because you don't want to if you're going on vacation, you're spending a lot of money. You don't want it to be a flop. Like you don't want to go somewhere and be like, oh, this sucked. Like we didn't eat this. We're wet, we're cold. Like, so I think the more that content and the partnerships you can build around that to create that experience is like, scratching the surface on that, and other brands that we're partnering with to figure out how to do that. But you're right. It's like, it is once you get over that threshold though, then all of a sudden you feel so much more confident about trying all sorts of different types of trips that are outdoor related, which is great.
Excellent. Okay, keeping on this theme of actual examples, brand campaigns that have been in the market in the last, let's say, 6 to 12 months, things that you're a fan of. Esther, similar question. What brand has captured your own attention recently based on their marketing and advertising efforts?
Netflix, always Netflix. But I don't know if everyone has seen that they launched the Netflix house. There was one in Philadelphia. They announced that it's coming to Vegas in 2027. So that's really them taking their advertising in a different kind of direction and more experiential, which is, the next frontier for those of us in out of home, specifically at Intersection. But a lot of our peers are really thinking about what is next in the experiential space. But what they did with us is a classic example of doing something never done before. And a lot of people want to do that, but you have to have the nerve to actually do it. They did when they released the movie Unfrosted with Jerry Seinfeld. It was about the creation of Pop-Tarts. They put scent diffusers on our links that puffed out the scent of strawberry Pop-Tarts. So as people were walking through the streets of New York City, they got to smell the Pop-Tarts while they see the ad. So all of a sudden, it's not just an ad, it's like a sensory experience, and certainly something that captures attention. And I think that that's what they do every time they do anything. It's all about getting the right kind of attention.
Is there another Netflix? Is there another Stranger Things happening? Is there a fake out?
No.
The real finale coming?
Does anyone here work at Netflix?
Stranger Things just ended and they're still top of culture. Like
Yeah.
people are still talking about there might be another finale coming that's hidden. I'm like, how? That's amazing. That's to your point. That's amazing.
I love that Pop-Tarts example, using smell in an out-of-home experience. Science shows that we have so many associations when it comes to the sense of smell. I think there's nostalgia attached to that. There's family memories. Love that. It's really, really a neat partnership with Netflix and Pop-Tarts and smells and out of home. I'll throw in one other example of a brand that I personally am a big fan of. I love the work that they do. The Farmer's Dog. So I'm a dog owner. Any pet owners, dog owners? They debuted a Super Bowl commercial a couple of years ago, a national one, that was just so emotionally moving. They did a couple different versions of the spot, but long form, showing a dog spending time like through the years, the decades with a family. And I just love the work that they have done. And as a dog owner, I love giving my dog fresh farmer's dog food. It's expensive, but he likes it. But that is just a brand for me that stands out so much with their emotional storytelling and just really pulls at your heartstrings. All right, we've got 5 minutes left here. It's the start of the new year. It's 2026. So as we start to close out, I'd love to think, as it relates to attention, but even more broadly in the realm of marketing, What is one essential skill you think is necessary to succeed as a marketer here in 2026? And I think thinking about a marketer at all phases of their career, maybe someone who's just starting out, a few years out of school, testing the waters, understanding do they like working in creative or media or brand experiences, but also the senior level marketer, a lot of folks that are here with us today. So, what is one essential skill? Julie, we'll start with you.
Discipline. And I think it's really easy these days. There's so many shiny objects that are happening with technology and things that are changing. And I think it's really, really important to play your game as a marketer and understand who you are and what value you're bringing. There's always, when you're authentic and disciplined and your product fills a need, you'll be successful, and not to get distracted by the shiny object.
Well said. Yes, it's easy to just constantly be pivoting and chasing the shiny object. Discipline is absolutely key. Brad, how about you? What is an essential skill for a marketer here in 2026?
I think I love that answer, by the way. One that comes up for me, and it's always one that I think is like naturally inherent, especially in younger people and kids, is just being curious and having curiosity. I mean, it's a great reason to come to CES, right? Is to see like what technology, what's happening, what's being developed, what's the top of mind in terms of innovation. But being curious about people and humans and why they do what they do, and really spending the time to interrogate that and understand that and ask questions, can lead to like so many like amazing things. And I think in today's world, it's really easy to get distracted, to your point, by like lots of other things and kind of get away from those human truths. But if I take it to the job that I'm in, if we're not designing kind of with humans in mind and how they want to sleep, how they want to eat, how they want to be productive for that meeting in the morning, then we're like missing the whole picture. Like, so I don't know. I always think of marketing and brands as being like a really like noble profession if I'm trying to make somebody's life better in that way. And so to me, like it always goes back to that, whether you're focused on products or you're focused on advertising, it's like, how are you kind of like focused on that human, and how are you asking questions to make things better to whatever product or service that you're trying to like get in front of somebody.
So we've heard discipline, curiosity. These are essential skills. Esther, anything else?
I'm like Brad. My answer is very similar. Julia, you started the panel by saying we often forget that we're consumers, and that would be my answer. Think like a consumer. We all are so focused trying to do our business and get work done. We have to step back and think about how we would want to be spoken to, what we're looking for from brands, and how we can deliver similarly to our partners. Like, just think like the person you're talking to and try to be a human. A curious human.
Exactly. Being human, great essential skill. Curiosity and discipline. I think those are excellent themes and takeaways. And yes, we as consumers are all making purchase decisions every single day. The goods that we buy, the services that we engage with. And I think we have to always come back to that customer centricity, and even what would we prefer, and what types of marketing would we prefer to see. All right, I want to thank the three of you so much for bringing your expertise, your experiences here to the stage. It's really been a pleasure getting to know you and hearing more about your companies and your specific responsibilities. So thank you so much. Thank you, audience, for being here with us this afternoon.
Thanks for moderating.
My pleasure.